We all know that feeling of love, right? It's universal. But have you ever thought that maybe we're not all speaking the same language when it comes to love? That's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
It's the world of love languages.
Yeah.
And how understanding them
Yeah.
can totally, like, change your relationships.
Really?
Are you ready to decode this stuff?
Absolutely. I think it is so fascinating how often we just assume everyone experiences love the same way.
Right.
They do.
Exactly.
It's like spoken languages. There are different dialects of
I
love.
love that.
And boy, can those miscommunications cause some bumps in the road.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We're working with Dr. Gary Chapman's book.
Yeah.
And he's laid out these like 5 love languages. And I've got to admit, when I first heard about this, I was a little skeptical.
Okay.
I mean, isn't love just love?
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about past relationships and those moments where I felt like totally loved and appreciated versus those times when I was left feeling kind of empty. Even if my partner was doing like quote unquote nice things,
Right.
it was like we were missing each other somehow.
That's a perfect illustration of how love languages can clash.
Right.
You're putting in the effort, but you're speaking the wrong language.
Right.
So let's break down these 5 languages.
Okay.
So first up, we have words of affirmation.
Okay.
Now, you might think it's just about compliments, but it goes way deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's about using words to build someone up, to express genuine appreciation and encouragement.
Yeah.
Like a simple, I'm so proud of you
Yeah.
for tackling that project can be way more powerful than just a, you look nice.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just about like flattery.
Right.
It's about those words that really hit home.
Exactly.
Like I remember this one time my partner wrote me this little note saying how much they appreciated that I always made them laugh. And honestly, that little note meant more to me than any fancy gift.
Exactly. It's about that specific heartfelt expression.
Right.
Now, the second love language is acts of service.
Okay.
Now, people often mistake this one for just doing chores,
Okay.
but it's so much more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
It's about understanding your partner's values and doing things that align with them, things that take a weight off their shoulders.
So like if my partner is super organized and stressed about like a messy house,
Yes.
helping them clean and organize
Yeah.
wouldn't just be about like the chore itself,
Right.
but a way of showing them I care and understand their need for order.
Okay, precisely. Or maybe your partner's always running around doing errands and feeling overwhelmed. You know, offering to pick up groceries or dry cleaning could be a really powerful act of service for them.
Right.
Even if you personally don't mind errands,
Right.
it's about recognizing their individual needs and burdens.
This is starting to make a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about doing things for someone. It's about doing the right things.
Right.
The things that speak to their specific love language.
Exactly.
Okay, what about receiving gifts? Does this mean I need to be showering my partner with diamonds and roses?
Not at all. Remember, it's the thought behind the gift that counts.
Okay.
This love language is about feeling seen and remembered, about knowing your partner took the time to find something special just for you.
Right.
It could be a small token that reminds them of an inside joke, their favorite snack when they're stressed, or a book, they've been wanting to read.
So it's not about the like monetary value, but the emotional value. That personalized touch.
Exactly.
Okay, this next one's interesting. Quality time. I have a feeling a lot of people think this just means like being in the same room,
Right.
but I'm guessing it's a lot deeper than that.
You are absolutely right. Just being physically present isn't enough.
Right.
In fact, if you're constantly checking your phone while spending time with your partner, it can actually be detrimental to the relationship.
Wow.
Quality time is about being fully present, giving your undivided attention, actively listening, and engaging in activities you both enjoy. It's about making your partner feel like they're the most important person in the world, even if it's just for 20 minutes over coffee.
So it's like putting down the phone,
Yeah.
making eye contact, and really tuning into what they're saying and feeling. It's about those moments of genuine connection, even if it's just a quick walk after dinner.
All right.
Okay, last but not least, we have physical touch.
Yes.
I have a feeling this one gets misinterpreted a lot.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
While physical intimacy is certainly a part of it, this love language is about all forms of non-sexual touch that communicate affection and security.
Okay.
It's about holding hands, giving hugs, a reassuring touch on the arm,
Right.
those little gestures that say, I'm here for you without needing any words.
I see.
But of course, everyone has different levels of comfort with touch, so respecting boundaries is crucial.
So it's about reading those cues and understanding what kind of touch makes your partner feel loved and safe.
Right.
Not just assuming that, like, all touch is created equal. Okay, so we've got our 5 languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Now, the million-dollar question is, how do we figure out which one is our jam?
Right.
How do we crack our own love language code?
That's where the self-discovery begins.
Yeah.
And you know what? It can actually be a really fun process.
Yep.
It's like unlocking a secret part of yourself.
I love it.
There are a few methods mentioned in the sources we have for this deep dive, and I think you'll find them really insightful.
Okay.
One way is to think back to your childhood.
Okay.
How did your parents express their love to you? What made you feel loved and appreciated as a kid?
Right.
Those early experiences often shape our love languages.
So, like, if my parents were always super busy, but they left little notes of encouragement, maybe words of affirmation were my thing even back then.
Exactly.
Makes sense. I always treasured those notes.
Another clue is to pay attention to your first instinct when you want to show someone you love them. Do you reach for a hug offer to help with a task plan, a special outing, or pick up a little gift? That initial impulse often points to your primary love language.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a planner.
Okay.
When I want to show someone I care, my first thought is usually, how can we spend some quality time together? I guess that says a lot about my love language.
Yes.
But what if you're still not sure? Is there a more concrete way to figure it out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
While those methods are great starting points, Dr. Chapman also developed a quiz that can provide even more clarity.
Oh, cool.
It's available online at 5lovelanguages.com.
Okay.
And it's a really helpful tool for identifying your primary love language.
That's awesome. We'll definitely drop that link in the show notes for you to check out.
Great.
But I think it's important to remember that even beyond the quiz, it's about that deeper self-reflection, really paying attention to those moments when you feel most loved and appreciated.
Exactly. Because understanding your own love language is just the first step.
Right.
The real magic happens when we start to understand the love languages of those around us, especially our partners.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Ooh, I can't wait to dive into that. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're uncovering how understanding your partner's love language can transform your relationship.
Right.
It's like getting a cheat code for connection.
I love it.
Okay, so we've done the work. We've explored those 5 love languages.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get a handle on, like, our own learning.
Yes.
But now, let's talk about how to apply this knowledge to our relationships.
Yeah.
Because that's where the real magic happens, right?
Absolutely. Understanding your own love language is a great foundation, but to truly build stronger connections, you need to understand the love languages of the people you care about.
Right.
Especially your partner.
Yeah. You know, I used to think that if I just showered my partner with affection, in the way that I felt loved, everything would be great. But looking back, I realized I was often missing the mark. It's like I was speaking Spanish while they were speaking French.
Right.
We were both trying to communicate, but the message wasn't getting through.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights a crucial point. We can't assume our partner experiences love the same way we do.
Right.
Just because you feel loved through acts of service doesn't mean your partner feels the same way.
Right.
They might be craving words of affirmation or quality time. And if we keep speaking the wrong love language, those well-intentioned actions can actually lead to misunderstandings and resentment.
So how do we crack the code of our partner's love language? Do we just straight up ask them? Or is there like a more subtle approach?
Well, direct communication is always a good option.
Yeah.
But you can also become a bit of a love detective.
Ooh.
Start by observing how they express their love to you.
Okay.
Do they constantly compliment you, leave you little notes, or express their appreciation verbally? Maybe their love language is words of affirmation.
Okay.
Are they always surprising you with small, thoughtful gifts? Perhaps receiving gifts is their thing.
So it's about paying attention to those patterns.
Exactly.
Those little things they do that make us feel loved, and then flipping the script to speak their language.
Yeah.
I love that idea of becoming a love detective. It's like a game, but with like real life relationship benefits.
Exactly. And our PDF source has some great examples of how different love languages can manifest in everyday behavior.
Okay.
For instance, if your partner is always tidying up after you, it might not just be about cleanliness.
Right.
It could be their way of expressing love through acts of service.
Okay.
Or if they always want to cuddle on the couch while watching a movie. even if you'd rather have some space that could be their way of seeking physical touch.
So it's not about assuming that they're just being neat freaks or clingy,
Right.
but understanding the deeper meaning behind their actions.
Exactly.
And I imagine that once you start to see those patterns, it becomes easier to speak their love language more intentionally.
Absolutely. And communication plays a huge role here. Don't be afraid to have an open and honest conversation with your partner about love languages.
Right.
You can even take the quiz together and compare your results.
Oh, fun.
It can be a fun and insightful bonding experience.
Oh, I love that. Turning it into like a date night activity.
Right.
But let's say you've identified each other's love languages.
Yeah.
How do you actually put that knowledge into practice?
Right.
Is it about like grand gestures, or are there more subtle ways to keep the love flowing?
Well, grand gestures can be nice.
Yeah.
But Dr. Chapman emphasizes the importance of consistent, everyday acts of love.
Okay.
He uses this great analogy of the love tank.
Ooh, the love tank. Tell me more about this.
Think of it like the gas tank in your car.
Okay.
You need to keep it full for your car to run smoothly, right?
Got it.
Well, your partner's emotional well-being works the same way.
Right.
Their love tank needs regular refills through acts of love that speak directly to their language. If their love language is physical touch, giving them a hug when they're stressed, or holding their hand while walking is like filling up their tank.
Okay.
If their love language is words of affirmation, leaving them a little note, expressing your appreciation, or sending them a text saying how proud you are of them can go a long way.
So it's not about like waiting for special occasions to shower them with love,
Right.
but about incorporating those like little acts of love into our daily routines.
Exactly.
It's about those small gestures that say, I see you, I appreciate you, and I love you in a way that they understand.
Exactly. And here's the thing. When we consistently fill up our partner's love tank, they're more likely to feel happy, secure, and loved.
Cool.
And when they feel that way, they're more likely to reciprocate love in a way that we understand.
Okay.
It creates this beautiful, positive feedback loop.
That makes so much sense. But what about those times when we're like stressed or busy or maybe not feeling particularly lovey-dovey? Is it still important to speak their love language even when we're not feeling it ourselves?
That's a great question, and it leads us to one of the most powerful takeaways from the YouTube video we're working with today.
Okay.
Love is a choice.
Oh, I've heard that phrase before. But I'm curious to hear your take on it. What does it really mean to choose love, especially when it feels difficult?
It means that even when we're not feeling those warm, fuzzy feelings, we can still make a conscious decision to act lovingly towards our partner.
Okay.
We can choose to speak their love language to fill up their tank, even when it feels like a chore.
Right.
It's about recognizing that love isn't just a passive feeling, it's an active commitment.
So it's about going beyond those fleeting emotions and showing up for our partner in a way that they understand even when it's challenging.
Right.
And you're saying that this can actually have positive impact on our own feelings of love.
Exactly. Dr. Chapman argues that by consistently choosing to act lovingly, even when we don't feel like it, we can actually reignite those feelings of love. It's like priming the pump.
I see.
By putting in the effort, we create the conditions for love to flourish.
That's a powerful concept. It's like we have more control over our feelings than we realize. By choosing to act lovingly, we can actually influence our own emotional state and create a more loving dynamic in the relationship.
Precisely. It's not about faking it. It's about making a conscious effort to connect with our partner in a meaningful way.
Right.
Even when it feels difficult.
Okay.
And over time, those consistent acts of love can have a profound impact on the relationship.
Okay. This is all starting to come together beautifully. We've explored those 5 love languages.
Yeah.
We've learned how to identify our own and our partners. And we've uncovered the power of choosing love even when we don't feel like it.
Yes.
But I have a feeling there's still more to explore.
You're absolutely right. The concept of love languages isn't just limited to romantic relationships.
Okay.
It can be applied to all kinds of relationships, friendships, family dynamics, even work relationships.
Ooh, now we're really expanding the scope.
Right.
So if my best friend is always showering me with compliments, maybe their love language is words of affirmation.
It could be.
And I should reciprocate by expressing my genuine appreciation for them more often.
Exactly. And if your sibling feels most loved when you spend quality time together, maybe it's about prioritizing those phone calls, planning a weekend getaway, or simply setting aside some dedicated time to just hang out and connect.
It's like we've been given this secret decoder ring for understanding the people in our lives. And the more we use it,
Yeah.
the stronger and more fulfilling those relationships become.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Because when we feel understood and loved in a way that resonates with us,
Right.
it creates a deeper sense of trust, intimacy, and connection. And that's what we all crave, isn't it?
Absolutely. We all want to feel seen, heard, and loved for who we are. And the beauty of this concept is that it gives us a framework for doing just that.
Yes.
It's not about changing who we are, but about learning to communicate our love in a way that our loved ones understand and appreciate.
Beautifully said. And it all starts with that awareness, that willingness to step outside of our own perspective and see the world through the eyes of others.
Right.
It's about recognizing that love is a multifaceted language and we all have our own unique dialect.
So as we move into the final part of this deep dive, I want you to think about someone important in your life.
Okay.
What's one thing you've learned today that you can apply to that relationship? Because it's not just about knowing the theory.
Right.
It's about putting this knowledge into action.
Exactly. The real transformation happens when we take what we've learned and use it to create more loving and fulfilling connections in our lives.
Well said. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to wrap things up with some final thoughts and actionable takeaways to help you do just that.
Okay, so we really went deep on this love languages thing.
Yeah.
How to recognize them in ourselves and others, the importance of speaking our partner's language, and even that idea that love is a choice we make, not just a feeling.
Right.
What stands out to you so far? You know what I find most fascinating is how this concept can be a game changer, not just in romantic relationships,
Right.
but in all our relationships. Like, think about your workplace.
Sure.
If you know your boss thrives on words of affirmation,
Yeah.
a sincere thank you for the detailed feedback might go further than just delivering the work on time.
Ooh, I hadn't even thought about applying it to work. That's brilliant.
Right.
So it's not about manipulation or anything.
Right.
It's about understanding what makes people tick
Yes,
and using that knowledge to communicate more effectively.
exactly. It's about building genuine connections.
Right.
And it works both ways.
Yeah.
If you crave quality time with your colleagues,
Yeah.
suggesting a quick brainstorming walk instead of another email chain could make everyone feel more valued and engaged.
I'm starting to see how this goes way beyond just like fixing relationship problems. It's like a tool for building stronger bonds from the ground up,
Yeah.
whether it's with your partner, your family, your friends, or even your coworkers.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about proactively nurturing those relationships and making them flourish.
I like that.
And when we feel understood and loved in a way that speaks to us, it creates this incredible ripple effect.
Right.
We show up as better versions of ourselves. We're more patient and empathetic, and we're more likely to give love in return.
So it's not just about getting our needs met.
Right.
It's about creating this positive cycle of love and connection that benefits everyone involved.
Exactly.
I love that. Now, I know some people might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but what about those people who are just hard to love?
Right.
What if their love tank seems to have a hole in it?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
While understanding love languages can be incredibly helpful,
Yeah.
it's not a magic solution for every relationship challenge.
Right.
Some people have deeper emotional wounds or communication patterns that require more than just speaking their love language.
So it's not a guarantee of happily ever after,
Right.
but it's a powerful tool to have in your relationship toolbox.
Exactly.
And even if someone is going through a tough time,
Yeah.
making the effort to speak their love language can still make a difference.
Absolutely.
It shows them that you care and that you're trying to understand them even when it's hard.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Relationships are constantly evolving,
Mm-hmm.
and our love languages can evolve too.
Right.
What might have filled your partner's love tank 5 years ago might not have the same impact today.
Right.
So staying curious, checking in with each other,
Yeah.
and being willing to adapt is key.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Me too.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on love and relationships.
I hope our listener feels the same way.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, this isn't just about theory.
Right.
It's about taking this knowledge and using it to create more meaningful connections in our lives.
Beautifully said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. Take a moment to think about one specific action you can take today
Yeah.
to speak the love language of someone important in your life.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be grand.
Right.
It's just something small and heartfelt that says, I see you and I love you.
What a perfect way to end. Remember, love is a verb. It's about those everyday actions that make a difference.
And those small acts of love can have a ripple effect, creating more joy, connection, and fulfillment in all our relationships. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep speaking the language of love.